In this video, we continue our discussion on Chapter 11, in which we go over game theory, where in our last video we went through the profit maximization process for an oligopolist. In today's video, we seek to use game theory to understand the pricing behavior of oligopolists, in which we'll do so by setting up some preliminaries in order to discuss game theory, as well as the preference for non-price competition in an oligopoly, as well as the possible outcome of coordination as well. Where, in regards to our preliminaries, we observed that the pricing decision for an oligopolist was contingent based off of other firms in the space in regards to the profit maximization process, given that we had the kinked demand curve and that other firms could follow suit in terms of price changes or they could not. This led to varying marginal cost as well as marginal revenue structures that we needed to consider in our profit maximization process, where this then poses the question of, what do oligopolists do in terms of pricing after the initial profit maximizing bundle has been found? Well, oligopolist A could increase their price in order to attempt to increase their profit levels. They could also keep their price the same, or they could lower the price in order to take market share from other firms in the space. But given any three of those decisions, other oligopolists in the space will be able to respond to oligopolist A's decision, where the outcome then is dependent on both parties' decision making, as we saw with the kink demand curve. In order to analyze this further, this will require the tools of game theory to think about, where game theory is the study of strategic interactions between rational agents. This is a major subfield of microeconomics that is concerned with decision making involving more than one party, where we can think of this decision-making process as being self-interested with respect to others, where up until now, we have only thought of individual level decision-making in terms of utility maximization in regards to the budget constraint or profit maximization of an individual firm, given such as a perfectly competitive or monopoly market structure, where you only needed to think about your actions and your limitations to make yourself the best off possible. And so we could think about that kind of decision making as being self-interested with respect to yourself, which is a special case of self-interested with respect to others, in that the only party you have to consider is yourself, where a more broad subset of that is yourself and other individuals. So then, with this in mind, strategic interaction between rational agents are what we will call games, where in order to study a game, we will need three items. The first being the set of players, the second being the strategies available to our players, as well as the payoffs received from these outcomes from each player, where our pricing decision between oligopolists will be a game, where players are oligopolist A and the other oligopolists in the industry. Our set of strategies will be each player can alter the price on their good or service or keep the price the same, where our payoffs will be either a loss, gain, or no change in their profit levels, where we will model our games using a payoff matrix in order to show the risk and reward between choices. Where here we have our first game. Suppose oligopolist A is deciding on a price decrease in order to increase market share, where here we have our payoff matrix below, in which we have two players. We have the row player here, which is firm A, and we have the column player, which is the other firms in the industry. Our set of strategies are firm A can choose to decrease their price or not decrease their price, whereas the column player, the other firms, also has the strategies available in terms of decrease price or don't decrease price. And in terms of payoffs, for our row player, that is firm A, their payoffs are going to be in each of their cells, and it's going to be the first description in the ordered pairs, that is the leftmost description. Whereas for the column player, other firms, their payoffs are going to be the rightmost description in the ordered pair for each of these four cells. Now, in order to solve this game, we need to think about what each player will do given another player's action. To see what is meant by that, let us start with firm A. They can decrease their price or don't decrease their price. In order to see what they would do, let us consider what firm A would do when the other firms decide their strategy will be decrease their price. If other firms decide to decrease their price, firm A can decrease their price and get a payoff of small profit decrease, or they can choose to don't decrease price in order to receive a large profit decrease. Since they prefer a small profit decrease over a large profit decrease, firm A will choose a small profit decrease by decreasing their price, given other firms choosing decrease price. So we will underline that. Now moving on to the other available action to other firms, which is don't decrease their price. Firm A can choose to decrease their price to get a payoff of profit increase, or they can choose to not increase their price to get a payoff of no change. They would rather have a profit increase, so their strategy will be to decrease their price when other firms select don't decrease their price. So we underline that for our row player. Now moving on to what our column player will do given what firm A does. If firm A decides to decrease their price, other firms can choose to decrease their price for a small profit decrease, or they can choose to don't decrease their price for a large profit decrease. They would rather have a small profit decrease, so they will choose to decrease their prices, leading to this being their selection. Now, alternatively, firm A could also choose to not decrease their price. So other firms could choose to decrease their price to get a profit increase, or not decrease their price in order to get no change in their profits. They prefer a profit increase over no change, so other firms will select to decrease their price when firm A decides to not decrease their price. So we underline that selection. So then, in terms of our game outcome, since both small profit decrease are highlighted given decrease price and decrease price, this is the solution to our game. So our outcome is that both parties will have incentive to decrease prices. Now, let us solve for an alternative game in which we're considering price increases now. Doing as what we did before, we want to solve first for the row player, firm A. So given what the column player, other firms can do, should other firms decide to increase their price, firm A could increase their price for a small profit increase or not increase their price for a medium profit increase. They decide to not increase their price in order to get a medium profit increase, so we highlight that selection. Now, other firms also has the strategy of don't increase their price. Given they choose this, firm A could increase their price to get a profit decrease or not increase their price to get no change in their profits. They prefer no change over profit decreases, so given other firms choosing don't increase price, firm A will select to not increase their price, so we highlight this selection. Now, solving for what other firms will do based off of firm A's actions, firm A can choose to increase their price. If they do so, other firms can increase their price for a small profit increase or not increase for a medium profit increase. They prefer the medium profit level, so we highlight this selection. Doing the same for firm A's other strategy, they cannot increase their price, where other firms can increase their price for a profit decrease or not increase their price for no change. They prefer no change in profits over a decrease, so we highlight this selection, where in this game, our solution is no change in terms of our payoffs, where our strategies will be other firms not increasing their price, and firm A will not increase their price. So here we have an outcome where no firm will want to increase their price and they will keep it the same. Where the prior scenario would indicate that oligopolists will not increase prices, and if one firm tries to deviate and undercut others in the market, the rest will follow suit and cut their own prices. This will lead to lower prices in the market, but will reduce firm profit levels, where since firms are profit maximizers, they will avoid a lower profit level when possible. Therefore, they will avoid the situation altogether by preferring to compete through non-price competition or by coordinating with one another. where by using non-price competition, oligopolists can maintain as well as grow market share while also building brand loyalty. We're defining non-price competition. This is just competition that is not based on pricing strategies and will typically focus on advertising as a means of convincing other consumers to purchase from you in order to increase market share. Or examples of this would be TV commercials advertising the skate shoe that is available at particular locations, event and athlete sponsorships, where consumers might be more likely to make a purchase if one of their favorite athletes is endorsing a particular brand, as well as public donations. If the company is donating to a particular cause that a consumer believes in, this will grow the probability that they will purchase from that particular brand. Likewise, the alternative would be product differentiation. By incorporating different features, this will make it more likely that a consumer will repeatedly purchase from you. This will make price responses more inelastic, and such examples of price differentiation in regards to our skate shoe example would be triple stitching in order to make your shoe more resilient when you're skating, a toe cap to protect the ollie area when you are skateboarding, a vulcanized sole, as well as a waffle pattern sole to have more grip and board control when you are out skateboarding. So then, alternatively to non-price competition, we could also have oligopolists agreeing with one another to no longer compete in order to fix their output levels as well as increase prices. But in order to do this, all firms must agree on the market share as well as profit levels, where the industry will behave as a monopoly as a result, and we can model this behavior by modifying our price increase game, where this coordination can be achieved through price fixing, price leadership, or allocating market shares. Now, by modifying our price increase game, here we have our row player firm A and our column player other firms. Solving for this modified price increase game, if we were to consider what firm A would do based off of other firms' actions. If other firm were to increase their price, they would prefer to increase their price or don't increase their price since they both receive the same payout. In regards to other firms not increasing their price, firm A would rather have a no change in profits as opposed to a decrease, so they'll select to not increase their price. Now, given what other firms will do, if firm A increases their price, other firms will be indifferent between either their strategies as they'll receive the same profit levels. And in regards to firm A not increasing their price, other firms will prefer to get no change in their profits as opposed to a decrease. So here we have two solutions in which all firms will either not change their price levels or all firms will increase their price levels for median profit levels. So in regards to this coordination, we will then have the case that they will coordinate such that they will increase prices as opposed to have no change in their prices. So we ensure that we get that upper left-hand solution, where with that solution, we then have the oligopoly industry behaving as if they were a monopoly through this coordination of price increases. So considering the industry as a whole now that we have below, we have price on the vertical, shoes on the horizontal, downward sloping market demand curve, downward sloping marginal revenue curve that's below our demand curve, upward sloping marginal cost, and our U-shaped average total cost curve. This is going to look just like our profit maximization for a monopoly, where profits are maximized at the intersection of marginal revenue and marginal cost for the industry, which occurs at point D. Since there's market power involved and they're behaving as if they were a monopoly, in terms of pricing, we move up to the demand curve. And we use this as our pricing strategy, where we see that the outcome will be at a price level of P naught and at a outcome level of S naught. And looking at profits, since our price point P naught on our market demand curve is strictly above our average total cost curve in purple, profits per unit is positive such that profits overall will be positive. So then what we saw is, through behaving as a monopoly, the oligopoly as an industry maximizes profits when marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, which gives them the optimal amount of output, from which they then move their way up to the market demand curve to select their pricing strategy, such that the overall industry generates positive economic profits as a result.